Hi everybody. So today's lesson is going to be for Monday, May 4th. May the 4th be with you. Okay, so you don't have a bell ringer today, but if you have not already, go ahead and make a new bell ringer document for the month of May. You should have already done that last week. Don't forget to rename it first name, last name, May bell ringer, and catch up on the bell ringer that you missed last week for May. So no bell ringer. We're going to do two slides today, 34 and 35. Both of them are writing slides. First, a couple announcements though. This week, we get to watch another Twilight Zone episode. So it's going to be the same format as last time. Hopefully more people can come and watch the episode with me, like a live streaming of the episode. I'm going to try something different so it doesn't lag too much while you guys are watching it, because that can be frustrating. So we're going to try something different, but same kind of format. It's going to be on conferences, or maybe I should try Zoom. I'm not sure. Probably conferences, because that's easier. But so that's going to happen later this week. Keep an eye out for notifications and announcements and the discussion thread. And then also today, look out for the discussion thread, because I'm going to be sharing some super fun, super cool, exciting facts about something that I learned from the Cold War, and also pretty scary. So there's that. It's fun and exciting, but also very scary. So look out for the discussion thread today. All right, so let's review some of the stuff that we talked about last. The last things that we've talked about were along the lines of the United States and the Soviet Union working on reducing arms and kind of getting this arms race under control. We have something called détente, which just means basically like, okay, let's take a pause. Let's reduce this tension somehow, and let's focus more on diplomacy and talk things out instead of just like building up our military and kind of having this military-industrial complex, which is basically like, well, we have industry and we want people to have jobs, so let's mass produce weapons. And that's kind of something that's been in the news today, especially during the presidential campaign. Some of the people who were running for president on the Democratic side, they've dropped out since then, but they were arguing like, we have a military industrial complex where, you know, we are building all of these and mass producing all of these weapons, and that kind of gives us a false sense of security where we can just like go and invade other countries or get into conflicts when we really shouldn't. So that's starting to establish during the Cold War right now. Jobs are changing. What kind of jobs people are having are changing. So yeah, industries might slow down for people who are mass producing like airplanes and stuff because of World War II, but since we're not in World War II anymore, let's find a different job for them. So healthcare, sales, other types of technological industries, factories, whatever we can do to kind of catch up with the Soviet Union. So slides 34 and 35, we get to talk about the nuclear family today. I think I've said this before. If you had me last year, I think I spent 20 minutes talking about it to kind of catch you up for your state test. But this is a great topic. I love talking about this topic. The nuclear family, you can kind of guess from the name here, is a type of family that is going to be created as a result of the Cold War. The nuclear family is this idea of what a family should look like in the United States at this time. There are still beliefs that this is the idea of what a family should look like, but there is no such thing as a nuclear family. You can try and try so hard to be this nuclear family, but it doesn't exist, because this is the perfect ideal family. This is you live in this utopian kind of, you know, neighborhood, and nothing ever bad ever happens to you or anything like that, you know, so this type of family doesn't exist. But the idea of what this family should be and what your family should be was pushed very hard for people at this time period. And this idea of like what a family should be, people saw this constantly. So people during the Cold War are, you know, living off of our economic successes. You know, we have new types of jobs. We're focusing more on space, and we're not in war anymore. Remember, wars are really good for your economy if you win, and we did win. So on top of having a great economic success after World War II, we have something called the baby boom. And that continued through the 1950s. So a baby boom, or like baby boomers, I don't want to hear any okay boomer jokes. I don't want to hear it. The baby boomer generation is a group of people, a group of babies, really, who were born right after World War II. So when soldiers came home from World War II, they received the GI Bill, which is a compensation from the government, and it's a way for them to transition from being a soldier back into normal life. We didn't do this after World War I, and we learned the hard way that like our soldiers need help. They just fought in a world war, and we can't just like plop them back into society with nothing. So Franklin Roosevelt establishes the GI Bill, and that gives them kind of like a compensation, some money, so they can buy a home, which a lot of people did. They started buying homes in suburban areas, which we'll talk about. And then also it gave them money to go back to school. So if they wanted to find a different job or to do something different, get a different degree or get a degree, the GI Bill gave them money. So a lot of babies are going to be born after World War II because the men are coming back from fighting in the war. My mom is actually a baby boomer, so they're still alive. They're still here. So baby boomer is a generation just like the same as like millennials or Generation Z. So we have a baby boom, we have a very strong economy in the United States, and then we have lots of houses. And I have a picture right here. You've all seen a suburban neighborhood before. Some of you might even live in a suburban neighborhood. This is basically like the best way that I can describe it. When these homes were first being built, the way that the contractors and the builders and the architects for these homes really set this up was like, okay, I can save a lot of money if I come up with one plan and just build that house and then basically copy and paste it throughout this entire neighborhood, because they all look the same, and you save a lot of money with resources and things because you're just buying the same things and you just build a house. It might be different colors and stuff, but essentially you're saving tons of money because they're all the same. So you can just like copy paste. That's suburban homes. And these homes are filled with new stoves, refrigerators, washing machines, all the top quality stuff that is just coming out because we have the technology. These homes were affordable. A family could purchase a single family home at a reasonable price, often financed with the help of the government, which is the GI Bill. Like I said, it's really easy to spend this money because the government's giving it to you. It's almost like those stimulus checks. It's like, here, take this. We're trying to help you. You just fought for your country. Spend this money, and that helps the economy. Remember, spending money helps the economy. So that's really what the GI Bill did, stimulated the economy. So the nuclear family was born. We have new types of homes, new products, TV advertisements. Oh my goodness, the TV commercial was born during the 1950s. New products, especially new products, companies wanted to sell, just buy 2 minutes of advertising time during like a television segment, because now we have TV shows, and because people can afford to have a television in their home now we're gonna have advertisements of just like, hey, buy this product, and we have this idea of this is what a perfect family should look like. You have mom, dad, 2.5 kids, a dog, and a white picket fence. It doesn't exist. People tried very hard to achieve the nuclear family, but it doesn't exist. At the same time that all this is happening, we have people that are warning society and saying, a lot of the things that you're doing, like there is this sameness. There's no creativity or uniqueness. We're losing our individuality in society, and we all want to be the exact same. So the ideas of like advertisements, whether we know it or not, they influence us a lot. And that's actually the next slide here. Don't forget a summary for that last slide. But television, TV, and advertisements, whether we see that it's happening, whether we even realize it's happening, they influence how we think and how we behave. Like I could watch a TV show nonstop for a month, and I could start having the same behaviors, or say, wow, I really want to cut my hair like that person. I really like the way that her hair looks. We don't know that it's doing it, but it's influencing how we behave. And so advertisements changed the game for companies that were selling products. And it also changed the game for politicians. You see it today. There are campaign commercials, and some of them get really nasty. And like some of them, I get really uncomfortable watching them, because these are our leaders. They're supposed to be the ones that are making laws for us. They're supposed to be helping us. And they're on TV attacking their opponent, right? Like, that's because in the 1950s, we really realized that, okay, wow, people can afford TVs in their homes. Let's just bomb them with advertisements. Shouldn't have said bomb, because we're talking about the nuclear age. So sorry. So sorry. Let's just overwhelm them with commercials so that they can buy these products. And once you see these things constantly, you're like, oh, wow, I really want that. We are a consumer society. We constantly want to have more things. We like stuff. We're a consumer society, and the 1950s that took advantage of that for sure. Companies and politicians took advantage of that for sure. I have Joe McCarthy on here, which we get to talk about Joe McCarthy next week. I'm so excited to talk about Joe McCarthy. But he was a United States senator. He was the worst person in history. He was terrible, but he used television and advertisements to target potential communists and to remind people to constantly be scared of communists that might be living next door to them. Advertisers were another group that quickly recognized the promise of television. As the cost of producing entire TV programs rose, advertisers shifted to buying just 1 or 2 minute segments during the shows. This is the birth of the commercial. Shows like I Love Lucy, Leave It to Beaver, American Bandstand, which was 1950s rock and roll music and young people dancing, all showed people how to live during the atomic age. So I Love Lucy and Leave It to Beaver. Leave It to Beaver is the most iconic nuclear family television show from the 1950s. You have mom, dad, two boys, dog, white picket fence, all that stuff. And it's like, okay, I'm a family during the 1950s. I'm going to watch the show Leave It to Beaver, and now I know how my family should look so that no one suspects that I'm a communist, right? I'm going to be a clean-cut American family. No one's going to question whether I'm a communist spy or not, because I'm acting like them. I'm doing everything that TV show is doing. If I act just like them, then I can be a nuclear family as well, and I am not a communist, and no one will question whether I'm a communist or not. And so you want it to be like that. Everything that you saw on TV, these clean-cut American citizens, right? You want it to be like that. American Bandstand, if any of you have seen the movie Grease, they have like a band, like they're just like up there singing and stuff. They have that in one of the scenes in the movie, right? That's kind of what it is. But you saw like, okay, so this is what my teenager should be doing. And that then nobody will question whether he's a communist. And that's a clean-cut American right there. That's what they should be doing. And it's the same thing for little kids too. On TV shows for little kids, they had to clearly label who the bad guy was and who the good guy was, because you wanted the kids to act like the good guy, right? You didn't want somebody to be like, oh, that's the villain. I want to grow up to be the villain one day, right? Because the villain could eventually be like, grow up to be like a communist spy or something. And it's the same thing. Like, okay, my kid is being bad because he's watching these bad TV shows. Same things happen throughout history, right? We have like the bad TV shows with the bad guys. And then eventually there was comic books. Man, they're acting like that because they're reading too many comic books. We saw that in the Twilight Zone episode. Tommy's reading too many comic books. Same with video games. My kid's acting like that because he's playing too many video games, or she's spending too much time playing these games that they're way too violent. Movies today, they're so violent. Oh my gosh, these kids are out of control. It's every generation has a new thing. The ideas have stayed the same. The products have just changed. So television influences us in a lot of ways, and people are getting really nervous because we don't want it to influence us in negative ways. So we're constantly pushing what a good, clean-cut American citizen is, and we're constantly pushing like, this is the bad guy, don't be like that person. This is the good guy, be like this person. You want to be the clean-cut American person. Then TV shows like The Twilight Zone, which y'all know, love The Twilight Zone. We get to watch one this week. I'm so excited. Really warned against these things. Just like where, people are warning against the sameness of living in identical homes and acting like the same person. There's no individuality or creativity. Twilight Zone series really warned and said, if we continue down this path of how we are right now, of these nuclear family ideals, or this constantly, mutually assured destruction, this arms race between the Soviet Union, bad things will happen, and we're gonna get out of control. And people building shelters in their homes and not trusting their neighbors and constantly being paranoid and anxious all the time, this isn't good for us. And so that's what the Twilight Zone served for. It served as a warning and says, we need to focus up. We need to stop for a second and be like, yeah, television is great. And all these things are great. These new appliances, everything is great. But we need to use it wisely. And we can't continue down this path because it can be bad for us. So we need to make sure that we know what we're doing as we move forward. It was a warning. So there's pros and cons to television and all these programs as well. But, it's the same thing today. We have all these great technologies like artificial intelligence stuff, but we have to be careful because it can be bad. So let's take it slow and not like jump into things like this. Okay? All right, that's all I have for you. Don't forget a summary for those 2 slides. Twilight Zone this week. Really excited. And pay attention to the discussion thread because I'll be posting some exciting stuff there. But scary. Scary stuff. Bye, guys.